We are live already.
Hmm.
Good evening, Dr. Reni. Welcome
Good
to Healing
evening.
Harmony page.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us and doing Facebook Live with us. My name is Dr. Falguni. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Reni. Few of the audience might be knowing me.
Right.
I'm attached with Healing Harmony since last 2 years.
Right.
They have only given me this platform to come live and do an active interaction with the fellow and I really appreciate. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Dr.
think,
Reni. I
yeah.
think there is some network issue. Sorry from my end.
No
Yeah.
issue.
But we are live still on Facebook.
Oh,
Yeah.
so, but
So
I can't see the chat. Like, I don't know. How do I?
uh, I will share the link with you.
Or maybe you tell me if there are any questions or
Yes, if there are any questions, I will let you know. Yeah, I will
yeah.
let you know. So, so let's start with our questions. Yeah.
Is there any
Yeah, Dr. Reni, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
hear.
Okay. So let's talk about contemporary homeopathy. Yeah.
Hmm.
So tell me how have you integrated contemporary homeopathy into classical homeopathy or into your practice?
Yeah, what I want to tell you, all these beginners and the juniors and all, even my colleagues, that when I passed out from the college and I thought I know everything. But and then I started my own practice, and then I started facing some hurdles, some difficulties. Some patients were really improving very well, and some patients after certain time there was a halt, and some patient I was completely lost. Sometimes I would take a wonderful case, but I was just not aware what to do with this data. Like many a times we take mind symptoms, we used to take mind symptoms, and there is a huge lot of mind symptoms, but then we have those few rubrics in the repertory which we would just pick up, repertorize the case, and then give those common remedies. But during my college days only I was introduced to Dr Sankaran, and we used to attend his OPD, and he opened a completely new channel of understanding patient's mind in a completely different way. He opened up this entire chapter of delusion, like
Okay.
which we never touched in our before. He showed us the way how to look into the repertory, how to see those rubrics in the patient, those symptoms. Like I can tell you, China, such a common remedy, and introduction of miasm along with the understanding of delusion being persecuted, China becomes one of the most important remedy for malarial miasm and malaria. We all know that.
Right.
But understanding came completely from a different way from Dr. Sankaran. And that's how we started attending his lectures, his seminars. We used to have garden lectures. Like when I was in
Okay.
third year, Dr. Sankaran would take one video case in the auditorium, and then after the video case, we would just sit in the garden and he would discuss one topic, whatever he has thought about. And the first book, The Spirit of Homeopathy, is entire collection, compilation of his garden lectures, the theory
Oh,
of delusion and everything. Like he was also evolving, and as a student, my batch, one of, like, we were just evolving with him. So I have seen that first book. I had, when it came out, no, I had everything written in my own notes.
notes. Okay.
I thought it was just a compilation of those notes. And then
Right.
his journey started and our journey along with Dr. Sankaran. So the beginning was like this. And then slowly we realized that it is not only Dr. Sankaran, but even Dr. Jan Scholten is doing a lot of work and lot of new things. He's coming up. Later on, many other homeopaths. I never stopped myself after passing BHMS. In fact, I opened up. That was
Okay.
just a base.
Right, right.
So I think Falguni. Hi.
Hi, Dr. Reni. So
Yeah.
sorry, I think network is unstable a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. So I think we were talking about Dr. Shankaran's notes and
Yeah.
notes
And
which you
then
had
first
written.
book came up, and
Yes.
then Sir's journey was quite fast. We were a little slow to learn and pick up and apply into practice. But over a period of time, we started combining it with our own, whatever we learned in our college, that always remained. I would tell all the students and all the beginners that knowledge never goes waste, but you have to build up on it. Like I can give you one simple example. Like when we were in school, computer was not even a word known to us.
Mm,
And now the advancement in the computer. So science always progresses. And homeopathy is an art and science both.
both.
Artist
Right.
never stops, and even the science never stops. And when
Stop.
you combine both the things, the results are fantastic.
That's a very interesting point, Dr. Reni. So it is an amalgamation of both the things, and you have
Yeah.
to update yourself, upgrade yourself,
Good.
and keep in
Like
touch.
every year, iPhone comes with a new model, and people are so eager to buy it.
True,
And
true.
so much advancement happening in homeopathy, and if we remain just into our own delusion that whatever Hahnemann has done is enough, I don't think so. Even Hahnemann would be happy about it,
Right,
because
right,
in his such a short time, he wrote 6 organon,
right.
and every time with a refinement. So he, in these 200 years, he would have done so much,
Much
so much.
more. Yes. Yeah, that's true. And when we were talking about delusion, I think Kent has elaborately mentioned in his repertory about delusions.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it has been there, and Dr. Shankaran just have expanded it very well and explained
Yeah,
us the concept of delusion. Yeah. So with that, I have another question, like how has your case taking evolved? Like just only mind
yeah,
symptoms, or how do you take, or how do you analyze using the case taking method in your practice?
yeah. So case taking, the basic case taking always remains the same. Like we start with the chief complaint, but with this new method, no, sometimes the chief complaint also becomes such an important part of the entire case. Like certain words, certain situations, like patient talk during the chief complaint. Like suddenly patient might say that my head is very heavy. So initially we used to just heaviness of the head we would write, but now with the knowledge of the entire plant kingdom and many other remedies, we know heavy is a very important word for certain plant kingdom, certain plant group. So that word remains in our mind. So all these things comes up only when when we learned, like we went from delusion to the sensations and then sensations to energy. So when
Right.
we look for the gestures, like what patient is doing, where patient's hand is moving, even when patient enters, we look at the clothes, the jewelry, the hairstyle, whatever patient is, like from the entry point, patient sitting, starting with the chief complaint, and then sometimes directly from the chief complaint we can jump to the delusion, because in the chief complaint itself many a times, I can give you one simple example. One patient I had, very old patient, after a few, like they were into shifting, job was shifting, but after when she was shifted back to Mumbai, she came to me with carpal tunnel syndrome. And she
Okay.
started that ऐसे ऐसे पेन होता है जैसे नस में से कोई ऐसे कोई खून निकाल रहा है.
Oh, okay.
All symptom was like this. नस में
Right. With
कोई
energy,
खून
with
है,
all the energy.
see, and before, see, patient was doing all these things. Only thing we didn't watch it. I would just if previously I would just write, patient ने बोला कि नस में से खून निकाल रहा है, but this energy, it gives me such a strong clue that this entire case is here. If I hold on here, I might directly go to the remedy or the direct sensation or that energy, because this energy is very, very important.
Right.
And patient, you won't believe, her carpal tunnel syndrome completely got cured with like leonine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a gesture.
Gesture. Right. Right.
It's not only on gesture what I give. Then I go to all the levels. I see that at every level I see the similar thing, and then I prescribe.
Right.
But starting point, and I know where I have to go. I'm not
The
lost.
pattern has to be repeated in
Yeah, the pattern
every.
has to be repeated. That's
Right.
what.
Right.
Like, if this doesn't remain, this is just a local, and if it doesn't become global, we leave it.
We leave it. Right.
Not that we just give us remedy on this local symptom. But when I
True.
somewhere in his life, in her life pattern, in her relationship, when if sometime, and when, if you start looking, no, patient does the same gesture in other places also, and it becomes
Right.
easy.
Right.
And then you start enjoying it. You are just observing the patient. You want to listen those words. Sometimes there are failures, but many a times you just focus on it, and the case is solved.
Right. Right. True. True. So with this, like, keep the word which you said, how we might think of different kingdoms, right?
Yeah.
So it can be either a plant or it can be an
Mineral
animal
or
sensation also. More of it, though it is more towards animal, and your remedy was also an animal remedy. So, but how is the kingdom classification useful in practice? If
kingdom classification was another milestone, like in journey of homeopathy by Dr. Sankaran. These levels of experience and kingdom classification.
Okay.
I think without that, like where we would have been today, complete maze, because every day I think somebody is proving a new remedy. And how to remember all this? You have seen that confusion with Kant and Boger Boningason, and that's why they made these repertories.
Right.
Why these repertories were made? Because you can't remember all these symptoms. And if you look back, no, this kingdom classification is just the reverse repertory. It's just the reverse repertory. I put 3-4 remedies from the same group. And then if I apply that, find the common symptoms, and then you start understanding those remedies through this common symptom, you will see a thread.
Right.
One thread in those remedies. And that's how Dr. Jan Scholten and Dr. Sankaran started seeing similarities in minerals first. Minerals, we have a small, this periodic table. If in chemistry, we have learned. So in minerals, they could find it very easily through the periodic table, because those chemists has made the work much easier. Like rose, first metal or first mineral in that row, first element has one atom, like atom, one atom, electron in the outer, then 2 electron, 3 electron, and they to complete they need 7, to complete they need 6. Like that, the entire 118 elements are arranged in such a beautiful way.
Right.
And they share some common properties in the columns also and in the rows.
Right.
And Dr. Shalton, Dr. Sankaran picked it up. And they made a beautiful understanding of the entire periodic table. For animal remedies, it was easier. If you see, if you see apis and if you see cantharis, and also you can find out common symptoms easily in animal remedies. All the snakes sharing some common symptoms, all the mammals sharing some common symptom. But what about plants?
Right.
And understanding plant was the biggest challenge, I think, for all the homeopaths. Starting from Dr. Sankaran and then Jan Sholton's work and then Dr. Mahesh Gandhi's works. Like everyone is evolving on the base of how Dr. Sankaran understood plants. Like he would pick up 3 to 4 remedies, he would find out the common symptom, he would go back to materia medica, he would confirm those symptoms, then he would find out the common sensations like heaviness. Heaviness came through and through to cannabis family.
Right.
Very heavy, and the understanding of this sensation, with that when you have a one sensation you might find the exactly opposite. In the case taking, sometimes when you are stuck, no, we directly ask patient what is opposite, and the case opens up.
Opens up.
So
True.
both understanding of the remedies and going any other mind.
Right. So with this, I have a next question in mind. Like with kingdom classification and with the levels of experience, how has miasm helped? Understanding of miasm helped in your practice?
Yeah, that's what I was talking. I just started with that. That understanding of miasm also helped a lot. Like just take a simple example of understanding remedy like bryonia. And bryonia is we all know it. It really works into subacute pathology, not only acute, but the subacute like typhoid and those kind of diseases. But understanding typhoid miasm helps us to understand all those remedies in the typhoid miasm family like Nux vomica, bryonia, acid phos. So then this intense desire to be carried, things has to be done very fast, and understanding of the stock exchange like a thing, like suddenly they fall, the prices fall, and then
Right.
you are into that panic state. The typhoid miasm is like that. That's what Dr. Sankaran gave as an example. And they are in between miasms. Like previously we had acute SORA, psychosis, syphilis, then the tubercular came and the cancer miasm
Right.
later on. There were this, but there were long gap between this acute and psychotic. We could not understand. So putting up typhoid and malarial miasm in between that, and then going to the tubercular, and a very important miasm is the leprosy. Leprosy is also leprosy. Like all the patient doesn't fall into syphilitic. Leprosy is much more common than a syphilitic miasm. You see, leprosyphilitic, yeah, leprosy miasm, more
Right.
common in patient nowadays after understanding this miasm. We would be doing all this detail in our course, which is coming up.
Right, right. Yes, I would like to tell the audience that we are coming up with a course of 12 days where Dr. Reni, Dr. Chanda, and Dr. Jyoti, along with Dr. Preeti and Prajakta, will be teaching all these nuances and with in details and covering all these topics in detail. Yeah. So now, Dr. Reni,
This basic course is divided in just 12 sessions. We have not made a big like 8 hours a day and expanding over a few 2-3
months.
months. Not like that. Just crisp, like what we are trying to give you is just gist of what is just needed after you have passed from your all this complete, you have completed your course, or maybe you are into practice and where you need a little bit shift. Then you can attend all other seminars, all other webinars. But before entering to this new world, the basic knowledge what you need is our basic course.
Right.
Then there are many seminars happening, many webinars happening. You can join, but before joining that, you need this basic little bit understanding of contemporary homeopathy, which has evolved in past, I can say 30-35 years.
Right.
Huge leap in homeopathy.
Right. So maybe next question would be like, which repertory do you use, and how do you integrate the use of repertory in your practice?
Yeah, repertory is always an important tool, and I always like to use something which is always upgraded. So I use usually programs. I use Synergy program and Complete Repertory or a Reliable Repertory, one of those repertory, because they really add new rubrics after understanding. So yeah, it is a genuinely proved rubric. It is available in the proving, or somebody has a clinical data of that rubrics, then they add it. And in my personal practice, how I go, I take a case. Actually, every patient takes me. There are different ways. You just do a keynote prescription sometimes, because in the initial beginning 10-15 minutes, you have got a lot of good symptoms or a good data. Sometimes you do a 2.5-3 hours case and still you are not sure what to give. But many a times what happens that you understand the patient, and then I put on a paper that what I want to treat in this patient. Then I take up important symptom and I repertorize. I never give the first remedy which is coming up, but I would read around 10 to 20 remedies which is coming up. If I am very sure of the kingdom, then I filter. I just put plant and I remove other remedies. And in plant, I would search that what fits best through materia medica to my patient. Most of the time, I confirm my prescription with materia medica. Repertory just guides me to those remedies, because you don't remember remedies. So something new pops up, that would be the first remedy I would read.
Okay, right. And how has useful the understanding of Dr. Gandhi's personal evolution model, or the Erik Erikson psychosocial development? How did you incorporate that in your practice?
Yeah, so after understanding and after prescribing through Dr. Sankaran's way and sensation method, still somewhere, the links were missing, and many of the plant remedies, we were not able to understand with the sensation and the miasm combination. Still, there were many remedies which were remaining, and there were somewhere something was lacking, was there in the mind. And then Dr. Mahesh Gandhi started explaining this personal evolution model. First time when I attended, I was completely lost, like a Magnolia family. Maybe the entire first I was just attending it, and I was writing notes. I said, one day I will understand. That's the way I joined Dr. Gandhi's sessions. And then slowly it started sinking in. That see how we have taken help of periodic table in homeopathy, the same way Dr. Gandhi has and Dr. Yakir has taken help of this entire botanical classification. So covering all the dicotyledon or covering all the monocotyledon on one chart.
Right.
And 6 columns. He just gave us that chart like a periodic table, and that made lot of sense. And this chart is completely based on sensations. All the remedies, like even Dr. Gandhi till today, he uses sensations and the personal evolution method in combination. He never left sensation method. It is just an additional in understanding the patient in a better way. Like Dr. Gandhi, what was the most important part? Like Dr. Sankaran showed us to go up to the energy level. And Dr. Gandhi showed us to go out and zoom out. And see the patient, the personal situation, the other data. which was
Right.
remaining in our case taking. No, many a times you would just leave apart. Patient is an engineer, or patient is very much attached to mother, and patient still needs somebody to give him a guidance. All those things, many a times, no, we could not fit in with the
True.
sensation method. This aging, the Eric Erickson,
Right.
psychologist, and she has that entire chart of understanding a patient through the age, like inner age and the outer age.
Courage. Right.
My age can be 53, but from inside I might be just like a 2-year-old.
Old. Right.
That way, understanding the inner age and then going through the Dr. Gandhi's chart of plant and mineral and animal helps us to give a much better prescriptions, much better.
Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
results are fantastic. Even in Corona, it has helped a lot.
Can
Plant.
you tell more about this? How did you, in Corona, how did you integrate this method?
Yeah. So when like patient enters and usually you talk on the phone. So
Right.
you really have to understand that what patient is talking. You have 5, 10, 15 minutes. So first case of my Corona, like that patient was into complete panic just with the
Okay.
feeling that he has got a Corona. He just had a little bit of cough and cold and those, and he would just he was just weeping and weeping that I think I'm going to die and now nothing is left in my life, and I had thought of doing so many things, and now his relative also told me like last 2 days he's just weeping with that fear that he has got Corona. He had not even investigated himself. And then combining few other things like 15 minutes case, I gave him camphor. That was my first prescription of
Okay.
camphor. Because camphor comes from this magnolia family. Doesn't know what is happening, and this he didn't have any other symptoms. And I think I'm at the end of this life. So, so that patient responded very well with camphor.
Sorry, Dr. Reni, I missed.
But
Yeah,
I just continued my talk.
no problem. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I think
We have 3 minutes. Any last question?
yes, we will like last one thing. Which books will you recommend to the new generation? To refer and to have more understanding of the concepts which.
Yeah. So those basic books, whatever Dr. Sankaran has written, they are very, very important to understand the concept of delusion and sensation and all. But as Sir progressed, his books also started like, so the Sensation Refined, I would suggest that is one of the most important book, which is compilation of all his previous things. And the second book is The Other Song.
Right.
Entire understanding of all the remedies and whatever he has done in last 15-20 years. So these two books are very important. And the third book I would suggest to all the participants is this Shankaran Schema.
Okay.
It's also a book which we should have on our desk.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Very useful book.
Very useful, very handy.
Yeah,
and I think along with that, Dr. Gandhi's charts. And
Dr. Gandhi's chart and Dr. Gandhi's first book, Personal Evolution Module.
Right.
Book. It's an excellent book. You might have to read it 2 to 3 times. Maybe I think I have read it 3 times. But still, every time I read, I find a lot of new things. So these are a few very important basic books. If you want to put this system into your practice, you really need to read this again and again. You don't have to apply it in every patient, but whichever patient comes to your clinic, comes to your chamber, and you start hearing, you start, you see, five senses, no, you start looking, you start smelling, you start hearing those things, and you will go into this new method.
Right, right.
Just the openness.
Yeah, these are all the different tools which we can sharpen and
Yeah,
use whichever is, you know, suits the patient or which helps the patient.
yeah,
Be it
helps.
repertory, be it a sensation method, or be it PM, or understanding the inner rays. Like with experience, I think with whichever tool is useful at that moment of time.
So
Uh,
along, what I want to say, along with the chief complaint, no, patient tells us lot of other things.
right,
We under, if in the beginning, if we understand that, no, the case taking becomes very easier. Going to this new remedy becomes very easier, and then results are fantastic.
right, right. Right. I'll just check if there are any questions in our. We'll wait for a minute. If there are any questions,
Yeah,
please
yeah, sure.
put it in the chat box. Yeah, or if you have any questions about the upcoming upcoming basic course. There are no questions on the chat box, Dr. Reni, so far. Yeah, but we may wait for a couple of, maybe a minute or so. Yeah. Also, participants can always definitely reach out to us through our WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there are no questions so far in the chat box. Yeah. Uh, So if there are any questions, please feel to reach out to us. Yeah, even on our WhatsApp group or our Facebook page. Yeah.
Sure.
And thank you so much, Dr. Reni, for
Thanks,
sparing your.
Falguni.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice chatting with you.
Yes, yes,
I would
definitely.
tell all the participants to spread a word about our basic course,
Right.
because few, I just saw a few have already attended our basic course. Still, they are watching us, George, watching me. So please
Okay.
spread this word and give your tell about your experience of this basic course.
Yes, yes. I had attended the basic course once. I will definitely say
Uh,
more people should join in. And after a year, I am part of Healing Harmony. So I would definitely ask other people to learn this method and do an in-depth study about it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Reni. Yeah. So I will end the session here. Yeah.
sure.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.